You are not good enough. You are not worthy. You do not belong. You don't matter. And you are nothing. These were the themes of my relentless judgments, criticisms, and put-downs that I lived with for most of my life. These were not the words spoken to me by other people. These words were from my own mind. I was the sole owner, participant, and creator in my own private hell. My outer lived world, by contrast, was one of privilege. I had a trauma-free childhood, people who loved and cared for me, good education, friends, and I never went without the basics. My inner world was created in part because I did not believe that I was worthy of my outer privileged life. This belief came from the social cultural world in which I grew up. Growing up in apartheid South Africa, I was led to believe that because of my skin color, I was less than a person of white skin color. Growing up in an exclusively Indian neighborhood, I was taught that being female meant that I was less than male, and that my sole worth and purpose lay in my ability to serve the men around me. So while cherishing and enjoying my outer joyous world, I secretly punished myself in my own private hell. I never, for a second, thought that my inner world affected my outer world in any way. This illusion was shattered when I was 17 years old. At the age of 17, I happily did a favor for one of my male cousins. A few days later, he thanked me with a box of chocolates. After thanking him, I went to my room and cried. Cried because I was confused. Cried because he touched my heart. Cried because I did not think it was possible for a man to validate a woman for doing her job. This was a turning point in my life. I didn't want to live in these two vastly different worlds. I knew that I needed to change my abusive inner world, but had no idea how to. I knew that before I could accept validation from the outside, I needed to stop abusing me on the inside. I tell people that I chose to study psychology because I was so damaged that I would need lifelong therapy. And it would be cheaper if I just did it myself. They obviously thought I was joking. What could someone like me need therapy for? I had it all. Trauma-free life, privileged upbringing, people who loved and cared about me, education, freedom, choices. But I knew I was serious. I felt broken, with absolutely no idea how to heal the massive divide between my inner hell and my outer joyous world. Psychology helped in that it gave me tools and techniques that I could apply to myself, some of which worked, during which time I felt comfortable in my body, but always for a short time. My first experience of mindfulness gave me a sense of peace and joy and connection unlike anything I'd ever felt in my life before. It felt real, natural, and unforced. But again, like with anything else, it was short-lived, because I could use mindfulness to focus on my flaws, my inadequacies, how I was still not good enough. Maybe one day, when I mastered this mindfulness thing, then I'd be okay, then I'd be worthy, but not today. In 2010, my mindfulness teacher saw how hard I was on myself and suggested that I practice only in the loving kindness practice. Loving kindness is mindfulness of the heart. In traditional practice, you start by sending yourself loving, positive thoughts and then sending these out to others. I was very happy sending loving kindness thoughts to other people, but had considerable difficulty in sending them to me. I thought that it was super indulgent, obsessive, self-obsessive, and completely wrong to sit for 30 minutes sending myself loving kindness thoughts, because I did not feel worthy of these. So why waste loving kindness on a nothing like me? This was when my eyes opened. And I realized for the first time that my inner private hell was not private. It affected every cell of my being. It affected how I lived my world. It affected how I saw my worth and how I allowed other people to treat me, what I expected from the world. It affected how I engaged in the world. I saw the world as unsafe, and I could not trust people because I could not trust me. So with the loving kindness practice, I decided to become curious about the nature of my mind, my inner world. I clearly saw how I played both the roles of the abuser and the abused in my inner world. The abuser part of my inner world resembled a 2-year-old. She was self-obsessed, spoke non-stop, loved repetition, and said whatever she wanted without thought or consequences, just like a 2-year-old. Surprisingly, I found this part of myself to be rather weak and insubstantial. It lacked solidity. This is the mind element of my being. My abused part, by contrast, felt strong, real, and solid. This is the part of me that I refer to when I say I. For some reason, I had allowed my mind element to control and dictate my life, completely ignoring the lived I part of me. No more. Seeing the mind as a 2-year-old, I knew exactly what she needed. The same thing as any 2-year-old. Loving parent to guide, nurture her, so that she can live with dignity, integrity, and respect. I knew that the I part of me was strong enough to do this job. During my exploration in my inner world, I noticed some strange behaviors. I was allowed to call myself names, to put myself down. But when other people said the same word to me, I took offense. When I said it to me, I was being honest and it was the truth. When they said it to me, they were being judgmental and critical. Same words. But this didn't only apply to words that I used. It also applied to the tone of voice. I was allowed to scold, shout, demand, order myself around. But when other people said the same words or spoke to me in the same tone, I took offense. I objected. In order to stop living in these two different worlds, I needed to stop being a hypocrite. I needed to have one set of rules in my inner and outer world. In this way, my inner parent initiated the one rule principle, which simply states, if I don't like it from the outside, words or tone of voice, then I can't use it on the inside. Simple. One rule. Whenever my inner 2-year-old mind broke this one rule principle, my inner parent said firmly, no, you cannot speak to me that way. Or, you cannot use that tone of voice on me. Really firm and direct, but with loving compassion. The first time I did this, I burst out laughing because it actually worked. Nothing that I tried in my life until that moment could quieten or even tame my inner mind. Parenting her seemed to be the magic bullet. All of a sudden, my inner mind stopped talking to me as if I was nothing. There was a sense of respect for myself. In this way, I transformed my inner world from a hell to a family consisting of a loving mother and daughter. In this way, I changed being a hypocrite and having double standards, a different outer world to a different inner world. In this way, I brought peace, joy, and happiness in my internal world as well as my outer world. Building on this early success, I took the parenting analogy outside of the nature of my mind and brought it into my life. Still applying the one rule principle. If other people were allowed to take time off when they're sick, or rest when they are tired, or go to bed early when they are tired, then so can I. One rule. I eased up on myself. I gave myself permission to relax, to play, to have fun, but also to feel my emotions, to feel my sadness, my grief, my pain, without judgment or criticism. In this way, I opened up to life as it is, allowing myself to live fully in both worlds. I've transformed my inner hell into a joyous place. I now feel like I'm living my life with my best friend, supporting, guiding, enjoying the journey with me, laughing when we make mistakes, holding me tenderly when I'm feeling sad or hurt. I now feel that my outer world is so much more richer than it ever was before. My connections with people are a lot deeper. I trust people. I connect on a human, emotional, deeper level. I feel more deeply. I feel alive. My younger self wasn't alive, she was existing. This current self feels alive, vibrant. What would I say to that 17-year-old who cried because her cousin validated her, I would tell her, my darling, do not settle for anything less than real validation, real acknowledgement, and real love. Because you are good enough. You are worthy. You belong. You matter. And you are a goddess. Thank you.